So, Prof, I'm looking at the name of the book, The Corporate Revolutionary. I'm looking at your life from when you doing Operation Hunger with Nelson Mandela and Zinzi to how you came into the time when the country needed some sort of governance structure where things could have gone wrong, from a political perspective, a military perspective, when a section of the community was marginalized. You've always been the voice for the marginalized. You've always been the voice for those that don't have a voice in the room. How have you been consistent, as it says in the book, to being a person of integrity and ethics in everything that you do?
Well, to be a good director, you've got to think correctly, and it's very interesting to me that companies that have gone wrong, like Steinhoff or whatever, it's interesting to me that some of those executive directors in that case, if they had been the guardian of a human being, they would never have done the wrongful things, committed the frauds like off-balance sheet financing and all the tricks they played. They wouldn't have done that kind of thing to a human being. And yet they did this to this incapacitated artificial person that's so critical to society. It is, I've always said, and I said it this morning, that the most important person in our society is the limited liability company, because you raise capital with it and you create jobs with it. And what more can you do for society? So it's very difficult. I just don't understand people sometimes. It's interesting in a case in America where the director had committed fraud and had been convicted. And he said, I'm a very good person. I go to church every Sunday. I've never done anything wrong. I've got no previous convictions and everything. But he had absolutely milked the company. And he had done by means of misstatements in his corporate reporting. So I would have loved to be there to cross-examine him, to ask him, would you have done this if you were the guardian, let's say, of your brother who became incapacitated because of a motor car accident or whatever? Would you have done this harm to your brother? And I think the answer would have been no. It's an unbelievable thing that because this is a fiction and you can't hold it, you can't touch it, somehow or other people turn rogue and they feel it's not so bad. They're not committing such a bad wrong, but as you would to a human being.
Yeah.
But in fact, it causes more harm to society than to a single individual.
Your view is that the shareholder of a company is society, is everybody here. How does that link up to the shareholders that put money into the business versus the creditors that fund the business? Who then do you think there is a true shareholder?
Well, it's very interesting. I was phoned on as late as yesterday. A very well-known company, which obviously I won't mention the name, because I was consulted and advised the directors, listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Its assets, if you look at its balance sheet, its assets are far in excess of its liabilities, but it's run in liquidity problems.
Sure.
So it can't in the next few months and will not be able to meet payment to its creditors on due date. So, as big as the company is, as old as it is on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, there comes a time when directors owe their duty of care, skill, and diligence to the company. But there comes a time when there's a shift in the life of the company, and you've got to act and have great concern for the creditors. So there is this shift, but you've got to act immediately as a director. You can't let it drag on. So my advice to them was, as a matter of urgency, to apply for business rescue. because I think the company is so well known and so wealthy, rich in assets, but short in liquidity, that they'll actually manage this thing out again, and the company will be back on the stock exchange listing. So you've got to take these things, and as a director, you've got to think about. It's actually acting again in the best long-term interest of the company, because if you don't, the company will be liquidated, and to try and sell assets of a company in the present situation that our country is in, you'd get very little for the assets.
Yeah.
So I think it's correct advice. They will apply urgently for business rescue. You will see it in the next few days in our newspapers.
We'll keep our eye open for that.
Social media. And it's a very old, well-established company that you know. Yeah.